Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining me. My name is Jonathan Ashford. I'm a public information officer currently assigned to the Southwest Oregon Joint Information Center based here in Merlin. We're launching a new program this morning to try to keep you updated on the 7 fires that we're currently assisting agencies with in managing the release of information. Today's update, we're going to try to cover some acreage, where we're at in containment, and any significant updates we have for you folks at home on each fire. Today we're going to start with Taylor Creek. Taylor Creek is currently at 49,025 acres. That's an increase of roughly 768 acres from yesterday's measurements. Currently listing it at 45% containment, but here's some good news. On today's map, they've put black containment line on the west side of Taylor Creek, on that north edge along Bear Camp Road, and on the eastern edge of some of this burn operation they've been doing between Taylor Creek and Klondike. What that means is I expect to see that number climb within the next day or so, meaning that they're fairly confident, to the best they can be at this point, that those edges of the fire are going to stay where they are. They've done a lot of work going in and doing mop-up, repair work, and cleanup just to make sure that nothing gets up and moves out of that area. So good news on that side. Still got 909 personnel on the incident who are going to continue to work to try to increase those containment levels. But right now on Taylor Creek, looking pretty good. Now, Bear Camp Road is an issue. It's still going to be closed, even though we've secured that side of the fire. There's issue with debris rolling out, potentially trees that have been damaged by fire or died, falling down onto the road, and we don't want to put anybody in a position where there's a hazard for the public to go in there while crews are still trying to mitigate some of those problems. Now let's move on to Klondike. I know they're being managed as a single incident management team running both fires, but statistically they're still 2 separate fires, so we're going to report them that way for you folks at home. Today's numbers, 57,325 acres. That's up just over 2,000 acres from yesterday, calling containment about 15%. 608 personnel still on the fire, really focusing down on the south side, down towards Selma. We had that slop fire that got over the Illinois River Road earlier in the week. Crews are still working to make sure that that fire, as it continues to move kind of south and west out of the main body, does not have the opportunity to move east and affect communities like Wilderville, Selma. There's a lot of burn operations happening, sometimes in the afternoon, sometimes in the evening. That's an operation we're only going to do if conditions are right and we feel like we can safely put fire on the ground ahead of that movement so that we can keep it to the west. We don't want it coming into those communities and affecting those folks more than we need it to. So we're going to continue working that with the 608 personnel that are still on there. The west side, Klondike, continues to move a little bit in the wilderness. They're really looking ahead, big picture plan, trying to make sure we do whatever we can and identify where we have opportunities to go in and keep that fire from going too far west as it slowly wants to work its way out towards the coast. So we're going to move up to the Miles fire now. Multiple fires up there that we're taking, but right now we're going to keep it in 3 or 4 different fires. We're going to break it up for you. So today is the Miles fire, currently at 31,951 acres. That's an increase of just over 400 acres from yesterday, calling it 12% contained. But I'm going to tell you this, they're pretty happy with the work they got done yesterday. The entire southern edge of that fire has containment line around it. We're not to the point like Taylor Creek where we're going to put black on the map and say it's done. But what we're going to say is that they're pretty confident they're going to be able to keep the bottom southern half of that fire where it is. They've got the containment line. Crews will still be in there working really hard to make sure they eliminate heat and any opportunity that fire has to get up and move past that line. So that southern edge we're feeling pretty good about right now. On the north side, it's going to continue to burn. They're watching it, managing it, taking opportunities to put in containment line, do burn operations where they can to create fuel breaks to try to keep that fire as small as we can right now. But with the lack of threat to the community at this point on the north side, we're going to continue to work that in a very safe and deliberate manner. Just above there, we've got the Columbus fire. Columbus fire currently is at 9,685 acres. That's up just under 50 acres from yesterday. Calling that 15% contained at this point. A lot of the work on the west side is mop-up operations. Folks are going in and they're just trying to eliminate any heat sources, anything that might get up and cross that line and cause that fire to move in a direction that we're trying to protect. On the south side, as I said, we're going to kind of let that keep going, and there's a good opportunity here that at some point these may join if that's the way it's intended. But crews have been working to make sure that we have lines on both the east and west side of that area to try to make sure that if they were to come together, it's in an area that we can try to control it as best we can. Now we're going to move to Snowshoe, which is just here on the west side of the Miles Fire. That one right now is, let's see, we're calling that 3,816 acres. That's about a 96 acre increase from yesterday. Actually, I'm sorry, no increase in acreage, but we're up to 96% containment on Snowshoe, and crews are working up just to patrol those perimeters, make sure it stays where it is. We haven't had any growth in the last few days other than that level of containment. Like I said, we're up to 96% today. Folks will continue working on that fire to make sure it stays there. The Natchez Fire down here near the California border, up to 15,940 acres as of this morning. That's an increase of just over 2,100 acres from yesterday. Still calling it 55% contained with 879 personnel on there. They're going to continue to work on structural protection and any other private property and values that we want to protect on that east and south side. The north half of the fire is looking pretty good. They're doing a lot of mop-up and patrol. Again, the goal here is keep it where it is. If we're going to put containment lines in, we want those to hold. Keep these fires as small as we can. Hendricks Fire. Hendricks Fire down here is just over 1,000. It's 1,082 acres. No change in the acreage on Hendricks over the last several days. At this point, it's 90% contained with 52 personnel still on the fire. The big thing that happened today with Hendricks was we had a change in command. We had a Type 3 incident management team on there from out of the area. Today, the local forest, U.S. Forest Service Type 4 incident management team took that fire over. They will continue to manage and operate that with a crew of 52 right now, working on patrolling those lines and taking opportunities to make sure that fire stays right where it is with no growth on that 1,082 acres. That's our update for today. One thing I do want you to keep in mind over the next couple days, potentially some weather coming in the area. What that means for the fires. There's some potential for lightning, especially east of our area, which could also cause some wind along with those thunderstorms. So be heads up if you're out in the public. If you're looking at fires, try to stay out of fire crews' ways, drive safely, give them room to operate, and just be aware that as that weather comes through, that could cause some changes on our fires. We'll have another update for you at 10:30 tomorrow morning, right here on Facebook Live. Hope to see you there. Thanks for joining us.